very early in the process when we were looking at the period before the election in 2020, we started to see Slack communications between Twitter employees, and they would say things like DHS flags this or the FBI flags that. And then there would be a list of accounts. And, we raised eyebrows. We're like, obviously we had heard rumors that might be the case, but we didn't know for sure what that meant. And then we started digging, and before long, we ended up finding that there's an incredibly elaborate, formalized system by which not just Facebook, but not just Twitter, but a whole series of tech companies is in contact with the federal government, actually both the FBI and DHS, and they're receiving requests for moderation in bulk from those agencies. In Twitter's case, the setup basically is that requests that come up through the states go through DHS through a system called HISN, and in the FBI will pass on requests that come from the federal government, and that can be anything from HHS to Treasury to what they call other government agencies, which I think is the CIA. The CIA is definitely listening in to meetings with these companies. We've seen evidence of that. So it's incredible. Like I was really blown away by the breadth of this program. I thought it might be much more informal than it is. It's not. It's quite formal.
All right. So what's the response to, there's no question that, for example, Russia did interfere with the 2016 election, not in the way the Democrats allege, but they definitely had bots purveying disinformation, misinformation online. They'd come up with fake news stories, which then the bots would circulate so it would get in front of certain viewers. And all they really wanted to do was sow discord. They put out pro-BLM stuff and anti-BLM stuff and then watch us fight. I mean, that was their MO. And so the FBI had
I think we might need to recalibrate how much of that turned out to be true. It might be a much smaller program than we've been told. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So, but they did it. And the FBI was tasked with looking at that and figuring out how are they doing that? What's real? What's not real? What do we correct? So this is all along the lines of their defense. We have a real role in preventing the actual bad guys from messing with our internal dialogue as Americans. And we're living up to that role, right? That's their defense. Like, why wouldn't we meet with Facebook and Twitter so we could prevent what happened in 2016 from ever happening again?
Well, I give a couple of answers to that, but the first one is that internally we have an enormous quantity of evidence of communications between Twitter personnel who've been passed along lists where the government asserts that this or that account is a Russia-linked account or an Iran-linked account or a Chinese-linked account, and they're saying we're just not seeing it. Like over and over again. There's a very significant email that I found where the State Department had passed on a series of accounts that it asserted were controlled by the GRU. And there's a Twitter executive who, incidentally, is a former CIA person himself. And he's writing an email and saying, look, I know this account. My attitude in the past has always been to wait for more evidence on that. But he says our window on that is closing. Our government partners, he uses that term, our government partners have become more aggressive. And so essentially what he's saying is if they say it's Russia-linked, we have to agree that it's Russia-linked, even if we're not seeing the evidence. And just quickly, Twitter had a formal internal guidance where they said publicly, we are going to assert that we only remove content at our sole discretion. Privately, we will remove any content that the United States Intelligence Agency identifies as a foreign state actor committing cyber operations. So that is in writing. So we now know that for a fact that they do that. And I think some of those stories about foreign influence, from what we've seen, have been significantly overblown.
Wow. Wow. I mean, it's crazy to have, the dress was lifted and you got to see all the things. And the things were not pretty. They're not pretty. So after having looked at all this, and you're in the midst of it, as you point out, it's not done. Like, where do you stand on it? How has it changed? You were already suspicious of an overbearing government getting too involved in private affairs and silencing speech and working behind the scenes to do things we didn't want them to do. So where do you stand now? How does Matt Taibbi look at the government, the world, and America after seeing all this stuff?
Well, I think the Twitter heading into 2016, and let's not forget, Donald Trump's ability and his mastery of Twitter was a crucial element in winning the election that year. My sense of the meta story behind the Twitter files is that not just the United States, but governments like the EU and some others realized that social media was a problem that they had to get under control. And what we're seeing in these files is a rather extensive effort and an insistent effort to basically take over and appropriate the moderation and content review procedures of all of these private companies. Because instead of being a social media platform that is anarchic in nature and allows political movements to coalesce quickly and outside of government control, they're attempting to turn it into an instrument of government control. And I think that's quite scary. And people need this issue needs to be raised at a high level.
So you've heard me talk about Bonner Private Wine Partnership in the past. Listen up, okay? They have incredibly rare Malbecs right now that you must try. If you enjoy a great glass of wine, try these wines from the extreme altitudes of Argentina. The flavor is spectacular. They got blackberry, leather, smoke, little dark cherry. Who doesn't love that? And these wines are nearly impossible to get on your own. The producers deep in the Andes Mountains make limited quantities. The best part is they have cut out the middleman, which means you will not deal with a big markup. Today, we have a new offer that we've never had before. If you visit BonnerPrivateWines.com/MKS, Bonner is BONNER, BonnerPrivateWines.com/MKS, you will not only get the wine for over 50% off plus free shipping, you'll also get a bonus bottle of small batch limited production wine from their exclusive wine cellar. That means you get 4 bottles for the price of 3. It's a deal that's hard to turn down if you are a wine lover like I am. Just visit BonnerPrivateWines.com/MKS to claim your bonus bottle and become a part of America's most unique wine club. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.